Chapter 11. What I Heard in the Apple Barrel. "No, not I," said Silver. "Flint was captain, I was quartermaster, along of my timber leg. The same broadside I lost my leg. Old Pugh lost his deadlights. It was a master surgeon him that amputated me, out of college and all. Latin by the bucket, and what not. But he was hanged like a dog, and sun-dried like the rest, at Corso Castle. That was Robert's men, that was. And combed of changing names to the ships Royal Fortune and so on. Now, what a ship was christened, so let her stay, I say. So it was with the Cassandra I brought us all safe home from Malabar, after England took the Viceroy of the Indies. So it was with the old Walrus, Flint's old ship, as I've seen amuck with the red blood and fits to sink with gold." "Ah," cried another voice, that of a youngest hand on the board, and evidently full of admiration. "He was the flower of the flock, was Flint." "Davis was a man too, by all accounts," said Silver. "I never sailed along with him. First with England, then with Flint, that's my story, and now here on my own account. In a manner of speaking, I laid by 900 safe, from England and 2,000 after Flint. That ain't bad for a man before the mast, all safe in bank. 'Tain't earning now, it's saving does it. You may lay to that. Where's all England's men now? I dunno. Where's Flint? Why, most of 'em aboard here, and glad to get at the duff. Been begging for that, some of them. Old Pugh, as had lost his sight, and might have thought shame, spends £1,200 in a year, like a lord in Parliament. Where is he now? Well, he's dead now and under hatches. But for 2 year before that, shiver me timbers, the man was starving. He begged, and he stole, and he cut throats, and starved at that, by the powers." "Well, it ain't much use, after all," said the young seaman. "'Tain't much use for fools, and you may lay to it. That's nor nothing," cried Silver. "But now, you look here. You're young. You are, but you're as smart as paint. I see that when I set my eyes on you, and I'll talk to you like a man. You may imagine how I felt when I heard this abominable old rogue addressing another in the very same words of flattery that he had used to myself. I think, if I had been able, that I would have killed him through the barrel." Meantime he ran on, little supposing he was overheard. "Here it is about gentlemen of fortune. They lives rough, and they risk swinging, but they eat and drink like fighting cocks, and when a cruise is done, why, it's hundreds of pounds instead of hundreds of farthings in their pockets. Now, the most goes for rum and a good fling, and to sea again in their shirts. But that's not the course I lay. I puts it all away, some here, some there, and none too much anywheres. By reason of suspicion, I'm 50, mark you. Once back from this cruise, I set up, gentlemen, in earnest. Time enough too, says you. Ah, but I've lived easy in the meantime. Never denied myself a nothing heart's desires, and slept soft and ate dainty all my days. But when at sea, well, and how would I begin? Before the mast, like you." "Well," said the other, "but all the other money's gone now, right? Ain't it? You daren't show your face in Bristol after this." "Why, where might you suppose it was?" asked Silver derivatively. "At Bristol, in banks and places," answered his companion. "It were," said the cook. "It were when me weighed anchor, but my old missus is it all by now. And the spyglass is sold, least the goodwill is in rigging, and the old girl's off to meet me. I would tell you where, for I trust you, but it'd make us jealousy amongst our mates." "And can you trust your missus?" asked the other. "Gentlemen of fortune," returned the cook, "usually trust little among themselves, and right they are, and you may lay to it. But I have a way with me, I have. When a mate brings a slip on his cable, one knows me. I mean, it won't be the same world with all John. There were some that were feared of Pugh, and some that were feared of Flint, but Flint his own self was feared of me. Feared he was, and proud. They was the roughest crew afloat, was Flint. The devil himself would have been feared to go to sea with them. Well, now, I tell you, I'm not a boasting man, and you see yourself how easy I keep company. But when I was quartermaster, lambs wasn't the word for Flint's old buccaneers, and you may be sure yourself in old John's ship. "Well, I tell you now," replied the lad. "I didn't half a quarter like the job till I had this talk with you, John. But there's my hand on it now." "And a brave lad you were, and smart too," answered Silver, shaking hands so heartily that all the barrel shook. "And a finer figurehead for a gentleman of fortune I never clapped my eyes on." By the time I had begun to understand the meaning of their terms, by a gentleman of fortune, they plainly meant neither more nor less than a common pirate, and the little scene that I had overheard was the last act in the corruption of one of the honest hands, perhaps of the last one left aboard. But on this point I was soon to be relieved, for Silver giving a little whistle, a third man strolled up and sat down by the party. "Dick Square," said Silver. "Oh, I knowed Dick was square," returned the voice of the coxswain, Israel Hands. "He's no fool, is Dick," and he turned his quid and spat. "But look here," he went on, Here's what I know, barbecue. How long are we going to stand off and on like a blessed bumboat? I've had a'most enough of Captain Smollett. He hazed me long enough, by thunder. I want to go into that cabin. I do. I want their pickles and wines and that—" "Israel," said Silver, "your head ain't much account, nor ever was, but you're able to hear, I reckon. Leastways, your ears is big enough. Now, here's what I say. You'll berth forward, you'll live hard, and you'll speak soft, and you'll keep sober till I give the word. You may lay to that, my son." "Well, I don't say no, do I?" growled the coxswain. "What I say is, when. That's what I say." "When? By the powers!" cried Silver. "Well now, if you want to know, I'll tell you when. The last moment I can manage, that's when. Here's a first-rate seaman, Captain Smollett, sails the blessed ship for us. Here's this squire and doctor with a map and such. I don't know where it is, do I? No more do you, says you. Well then, I mean this squire and doctor shall find the stuff, help us get it aboard by the powers, then we'll see. If I was sure of you all, sons of double Dutchmen, I'd have Captain Smollett navigate us halfway back again before I struck." "Why, we're all seamen aboard here, I should think," said the lad Dick. "We're all fockles hands, you mean," snapped Silver. "We can steer a course, but who's to set one? That's what all you gentlemen split on, first and last. If I had my way, I'd have Captain Smollett work for us back into the trades at least. Then we'd have no blessing miscalculations, and a spoonful of water a day. But I know the sort you are. I'll finish with them at the island, as soon as the blunt's on board, and a pity it is. But you'll never happy till you're drunk. Split my sides, I'll sick a heart to sail with the likes of you." "Easy all, Long John," cried Israel. "Who's a crossing of you?" "Why, how many tall ships, think ye now, have I seen laid aboard? And how many brisk lads drying in sun at Execution Dock?" cried Silver. "And all for the same hurry and hurry and hurry. You hear me? I seen a thing or two at sea. I have if you would only lay your course, and a punt to windward. You would ride in carriages, you would. But not you. You know you'll have your mouthful of rum tomorrow, and go hang." "Everybody knowed you were a kind of chaplain, John, but there's others as could hand a steer as well as you," said Israel. "They liked a bit of fun, they did. They weren't so high and dry, nohow, but took their fling like jolly companions ever was." "So," said Silver. "Well, and where are they now? Pugh was that sort, and he died a beggarman. Flint was, and he died of rum in Savannah. And they were as sweet a crew, they was, only where are they?" "But," asked Dick, "when do we lay 'em at what? What do we do with them, anyhow?" "There's a man for me," cried the cook admirably. "That's what I call busyness. What? Well, what do you think? Put 'em ashore like maroons. That would have been England's way. Or cut 'em down like that much pork. That would have been Flint or Billy Bones's." "Billy was a man for that," said Israel. "Dead men don't bite," says he. "Well, he's dead now himself. He knows the long and short of it now, and if ever a rough hand come to port, it was Billy." "Right you are," said Silver. "Rough and ready, but mark you here. I'm an easy man. I'm quite the gentleman, says you, but this time it's serious. Duty is duty, mates. I give you my vote. Death. When I'm in Parliament and riding in my coach, I don't want none of these sea lawyers in the cabin a-coming. Home unlooked for, like the devils at prayers. Wait is what I say, but when the time comes, why let her rip." "John," cries the coxswain, "you're a man." "You'll say so, Israel, when you see," said Silver. "Only one thing I claim. I claim Trelawney. I'll wring his calves head on in his body with his hands. Dick," he added, breaking off, "you just ump up like a sweet lad and get me an apple to wet my pipe like." You may fancy the terror I was in. I should have leapt out and run for it, if I had found the strength, but my limbs and heart alike misgave me. I heard Dick begin to arise, then someone seemingly stopped him, and the voice of the hands exclaimed, "Oh, stow that! Don't you get sucking on that bilge, John. Let's have a go at the rum." "Dick," said Silver, "I trust you. I have a gauge of the keg, mind. There's the key. You fill a pannikin and bring it up." Terrified as I was, I could not help thinking to myself that this must have been how Mr. Arrow got the strong waters that destroyed him. Dick was gone but a little while, and during his absence Israel spoke straight on in the cook's ear. It was but a word or two that I could catch, and yet I gathered some important news, for besides the other scraps that tended to the same purpose, this whole clause was audible. Not another man of them Alpha Algine, hence there were still faithful men on board. When Dick returned, one after another of the trio took the pannikin and drank to "Tulloch," another with a "Here's to old Flint," and Silver himself saying in a kind of song, "Here's to ourselves, and hold your luff, plenty of prizes and plenty of duff." Just then a sort of brightness fell upon me in the barrel, and looking up I found the moon had risen. It was silvering at mizzen-top, and shining white on the luff of the foresail, and almost at the same time the voice of the lookout shouted, "Land ho!"